Well, hello, and welcome to your 2.5 notes on literal equations and formulas, or if you love Latin, formulae. So that's exciting. By the end of the day, you will be able to rewrite and use literal equations and formulas. So here's the situation. Let's say you're going to get some pizza and you're going to get some sandwiches, and you have a budget of $80. How many sandwiches can you get if you also buy 40 pizzas? Well, you start out with $80 and you subtract 4 times 10, which is 40. So 80 minus 40 means you have $40 left over. And with your $40, you can buy 5 sandwiches. No, I lied. They cost $5 each. 40 divided by 8 divided by 5 is 8. You can buy 8 sandwiches. Ha, gotcha. All right, starting off strong. Same process. What happens if you buy 5 pizzas? Well, you started out with $80. Minus 5 times 10 is 80 minus 50. This time you're left with $30. And $30 divided by 5 gives you 6 sandwiches. But if you don't buy any pizzas at all, you can spend $80 on sandwiches. And 80 divided by 5 is 16. By 16 sandwiches. I hope you're hungry. Now, that was a lot of work, and sometimes it's a lot easier to use an equation to do all this work for you instead of having to go every step by step. So today we're going to, I almost circled it, I need the answer. Today we will be using literal equations. They're like literally so fun. Man, that's a. I'm gonna rewrite it. It's Friday. This will be due Friday. Literal equation. There you go. Is an equation that has 2 or more variables in it. Now our key idea of the day is that when we're working with literal equations, we want to solve for one variable. That is, we want to isolate one of the variables, depending on what the question asks you, what the problem asks you. So let's go back to our introductory problem. Okay? If we have this equation 80, which is our total price, equals 10p, that's pizzas, plus 5s sandwiches, where p is the number of pizzas and s is the number of sandwiches, models the problem. So how many sandwiches can you buy if you also buy 3 pizzas or even 6 pizzas? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take our equation right here. We've got a literal equation, yay, and we want to solve it for s because the question asks how many sandwiches. So we want to isolate s. So we're going to solve for s to get s all by itself. Okay, so let's undo what's happening to our s. We'll subtract 10p from both sides, giving us 80 minus 10p equals 5s. And then we'll divide by 5, divide both sides by 5. 80 divided by 5 is 16, and 10p divided by 5 is 2p. And there we've got our s all by itself. So there we have it. Now all we have to do is plug our p into this equation right here. So we have 3 and 6. What happens when we buy 3 pizzas? And what happens when we buy 6 pizzas? We're just substituting however many pizzas we have in for p. How many sandwiches can we buy? Well, this will give us 16 minus 6 is 10. Hey, we can buy 10 sandwiches. Radical. What about here? 16 minus 2 times 6 is 12 equals s, and that's 4. So we can buy 4 sandwiches. Wasn't that so much easier than this up here? Oh, look at all that work. Yay, math makes your life better. We love it. Sweet. Okay? Now, what happens if you have only variables and you want to get this x all by itself? Well, we'll just take it step by step and we'll see what we get. Okay, So here, I see that they both have an x on this left side. So I can distribute out an x. I can say, hey, so if we have ax minus bx, and I take an x out from each of them, that's the same thing as a minus b times x. Also, that's equal to c. See what I did there? I took the x, pulled it out, so you just have a minus b, x equals c. Then, again, we're trying to get x by itself. So we know we have some number times x. Let's get rid of whatever that quantity is. So we'll divide by a minus b on both sides. Divide by a minus b. Now, these a minus b's will cancel out. Bye, see you later. Leaving us with just x. X equals c over a minus b. And there we have it. We did it. We solved for x. Cool. Now in this table below, I have a bunch of formulae, which is the Latin version, because formula is a Latin word. When you see this, think formulas. So that's fun. Anyway, so a single formula, is an equation that states a relationship among different quantities. And we use it for a variety of ways. So here, if you have the perimeter of a rectangle, here, P stands for perimeter, and that's equal to twice the length plus twice the width of the rectangle. Circumference of a circle, C, is equal to 2 times pi times r, depending on what your radius is. This guy right here, area equals length times width. That's the area of a rectangle. The area of a triangle is just like that. We say area equals base times height, but since the triangle is half of a rectangle, it's half of the base times the height. The area of the circle is very similar to the circumference of the circle. We say the area is pi times r squared, where where a is the area and r is the radius. Distance traveled. If you know the rate at which you're traveling, when you see rate, think speed. Okay, and you know for how long you were traveling, that's your time. Then we say that your distance equals your rate times time, because dirt. I gave a thumbs up, but you can't tell. Okay, temperature. If we want to get from degrees Celsius, or rather, if we want to find our degrees Celsius given our temperature in Fahrenheit, first we subtract 32, and then whatever that is, we multiply by 5/9. Cool. Get it? Cool. There are a bunch of other different formulas out there. What's another formula that you know? Go ahead and add it to your table, and then I'm going to make it a question on this Edpuzzle. What's another formula that you know? Okay. Also notice that some of these formulas use the same variables. Like we use C here and we use C here. But the meaning of the variable is different. We say the definition of the variable is different, and that's why it's important to know what they stand for. For example, here this C means circumference, but this C means Celsius, and this R means rate, and this R means radius. So keep that in mind. Okay, so let's say that we know the circumference of a circle. So you know that around this circle, watch this perfect circle I'm totally gonna draw. Whoa! All right, so you know that the circumference of the circle, circumference is the distance around your circle. Wow, I'm so good at tracing. Amazing. Oh, what? hold on. Let's fix this. No fill, thank you. Okay. So the distance around your circle is 64 feet. But you don't really care about that. You want to find what is the radius. What is this distance right here? Well, fortunately, we have a formula that relates circumference to radius. We know the circumference of a circle is 2 times pi times r. Again, where circumference, or c is the circumference of our circle, and r is the radius of our circle. Okay, now let's solve for r. So we know that c equals 2 pi r, and we're trying to get r all by itself. So we're going to undo what's happening to our r. R. Okay, cool. Well, we just divide, and you could divide by 2 and then divide by pi, or you can be super efficient with your time and divide by them both in the same step. Let's do that. Bye. We're left with circumference over 2 times pi equals r. And in case pi is brand new to you, this is how pi is defined, you guys. It's the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter, which is twice the radius. And that's a number that comes out to approximately 3.1415925, and it keeps going. But normally we just kind of leave it. We say that 3.14 is good enough. Also, my uncle's an engineer, and sometimes just 3.1 is good enough for them. So 3.14. Okay. So now let's substitute what we know about this circle into the formula. What do we know? Well, we know the circumference. Thank you for that. We know the circumference is 64. Let's go ahead and plug 64 in right here. Substitute 64. The 64 and the 2 will reduce out to give us 32 over pi is r. And when you calculate that out, that turns out to be approximately 10.2. So we say it's approximately 10.2. Oh, because the nearest tenth. Good job. There you go. All right, one more. Full of puns. Whale. What do we have here? So you have some Pacific gray whales, which are very common off the coast of California. And they migrate every single year from Alaska all the way down to Baja California. Oh, and then they go back. So they travel of a distance of about 5,000 miles each way at an average rate of 91 miles per day. So how many days does it take them to migrate one way? I misspoke. Okay. So let's look. What information do we know? Well, we know that they travel a distance of 5,000 miles. Okay? And we travel at a rate, not we, but the whales. They travel at a rate of 91 miles per day. How many days does it take the whales to migrate one way? So the question that we're asking is how many days? How many days is a question of time. That's how long does it take. So we've got a question of time. We know we have a rate of 91 miles per day. Awesome. And we also have a distance. We have a distance of 5,000 miles. I guess that's far. So what's a formula that relates distance, rate, and time? Well, how about the distance formula? You remember the dirt guy? Distance equals rate times time. Okay, dirt. Okay, now what do we need? We want time. We want to find out the time. So let's solve for time. Distance equals rate times time. We want to get time all by itself. That'll be pretty straightforward. We just divide both sides by r. Our r's cancel out. And we're left with time equals distance over rate. Fortunately for us, we already labeled them. We know what our distance is. Our distance is 5,000 miles. And we know what our rate is, 91 miles per day. So let's go ahead and substitute those in. I'm going to just scoot that guy over real quick. So we know our distance is 5,000 miles. And we know our rate is 91 miles per day. We want to find out how many days. Fortunately for us, T days. There we go. Unfortunately for us, the miles will cancel out, and because we have divide by divide, then the day moves right up on top. Don't worry about that. That's not too complicated. Just know, hey, the miles canceled out, so we're in good shape. Okay. So now all we have to do is 5,000 divided by 91, and that comes out to approximately 55. So you have, oh yeah, that's approximately 55 days. So just under 2 months. Man, guys, they swim for 2 months. They must be so tired. Anyway, fun facts, if you want to go whale watching at Long Beach, you can see gray whales in January through March, and you can see minke whales in October through December, and you can see humpback whales all year round. Isn't that so fun? So fun. Okay, whale. When you're solving for a formula, you just need to solve for one variable. Use everything you know already. Even though you don't know the number yet, you can still do the same rules for your variables and have a great time on your homework.